So, we've done ice mining, we've done exploration, we've done ratting, we've done PI as well. It's time to move on to the other step of this adventure, which is abyssal running. And I want to start with T0 in a destroyer. We'll also go over how Abyss works. I want this to be some sort of, like, not a guide per se, but just an informative episode. And our gyro is done, so we can fit that onto Timothy, which would be very nice. I've also made station containers since the last episode, so now things are somewhat sorted. I put the BPO for our arbitrator in Thera because there was a connection nearby, like one jump out in Usad. So, let's talk about filaments, I guess. No, let's first let's borrow Timothy and then we can talk about filaments. We'll fit the gyro as well so I don't forget later. Oh, where's my gyro stabilizer? There it is. Now that we've fitted, guns are loaded, we can talk about filaments, right? Abyssal filaments come in 7 varieties of difficulty and 5 varieties of weather. Let me show info. So tier 0 filaments are tranquil, they are the lowest difficulty, and right now we're looking at a tranquil gamma filament, which is a tier 0 with a bonus to shield HP but a penalty to explosive resistance. And as you can see, it also can be activated in 0.8 and below systems. The higher you go in abyssal tiers, the lower you have to go in security, up to tier 6, which can only be activated in 0.5 and below systems. Doesn't really affect us because we're running all of our abyssals in low sec, but if you ever want to run abyssals, you need to watch for that. Electricals make your capacitor stronger. Exotics make scan resolution bonus is not that great. However, the kinetic kinetic resistance penalty is quite nice. Firestorms are the hardest ones probably to run. Not for us, because for us darks would be the hardest one to run because of the penalty to, because darks have a penalty to drone and gun optimal range, and drones don't orbit closer, which nerfs them a lot. Drone boats are very, very bad in darks. And then firestorms are difficult because a lot of hard spawns that already strain your DPS are heavily armor tanked, which means our DPS is strained even more, and usually the DPS checks in firestorms are higher, about 15% higher, 15 to 20%. Something like 150 DPS average, which is like the average DPS you would want is like 150 in case you get a triple battleship spawn, because below that you have a chance of timing out. In firestorms it's like 180, 190, right? But in tier 0, 162 DPS of a Thrasher should be more than enough. And the capacitor, because we grabbed electrical filaments, our capacitor is not really an issue because we're gonna have basically double. With the way electrical bonus works, our capacitor is basically doubled. So let's put on a micro warp drive because we can afford the capacitor. There we go. And like it looks like minus 69%, but it's going to be stable inside the filament because of how capacitor recharge works. So I would say let's undock and let's see what we can do, right? I think that's the play right now. And one more thing before we jump into the filament, if you're running in a frigate or a destroyer, you need more filaments and you need to be in a fleet. destroyers need 2 filaments, frigates need 3. We're probably not gonna run in a frigate because we don't have access to the hookbill, we don't have access to the worm, and we definitely don't have access to the hawk or retribution. So let's pop this filament. It'll take us into a tier 0 filament with electrical storms, and in 20 minutes, we have 20 minutes to complete it. So let's activate the gate. Yeah, if you're running in a cruiser, it would just automatically suck you in. So let's see this first spawn. Ephialtes Lancers, fairly easy spawn, just get under their guns, orbit them, and orbit and shoot. One thing that is very important, it's more important in higher tiers, you could see me do it right there, but it's more important in higher tiers but less important in lower tiers because the penalties are less harsh. You want to check the weather percentage. So in tier 0 it's guaranteed to be always minus 30% penalty, and then the higher up you go, like in tier 3 it's a higher chance to get 50%, and in tier 6 it's a very high chance to get 70% penalty, that kind of thing. So let's just get under his guns and start blasting. Okay, now that they're down, we can approach the biocompetitive cache. In tier 0 we only get this bio cache. In tier 1 and above we can also sometimes get extraction nodes that can have loot in them. We're not always going to grab them, but it's something that's worth mentioning. I will also put some starter resources for Abyssals if you want to get into Abyssals, and the Abyssal Lurker Discord, which is a great source of information for any kind of Abyssal, from tier 0 all the way up to tier 6. Okay, striking Damavik. This is another one of those spawns that we can just ram. We can just approach the Damavik and kill it. The only difficult spawn really would be the Skybreaker or the Concord Frigate. There we go, just like that. Goes down in quite a few volleys. We didn't even need to really turn on our armor repairer. Let's pop that cache, and then hopefully we're gonna get more of that crystalline isogen 10, because that's something. This was also 30%, right? Like I said, I don't think it's even possible to get 50% penalty in tier 0. But I'm really hoping for more crystalline isogen 10, because that worries me to be the bottleneck. The 0-point condensate have a much higher drop rate compared to... and we got more filaments. So we're getting our filaments back as we're running Abyssals. We'll probably have to do a few more data sites here and there, but a lot of our filaments is going to come from running more Abyssals. Pocket 3, let's see what we get. A Lucid Escort. This is just another one of those approach and kill. So what this is, we spawned in what is called a blue cloud. It makes our signature radius bigger. It makes certain T1 spawns and higher a lot harder, like the Marshall spawn or the Thunderchild spawn. We cannot get them in T0, so we don't have to worry. But in T1, they might just clap us. Goes down quick. And this will be the last cache, and then we're gonna go out. And there we go. Bang. A bit more isogen, no, just one, but it's something. It's a start of a big grind. So now, hopefully, no one's on this grid. Okay, no one's on this grid. I know this Sparkov person, they are a local, I've met them, I've talked to them a few times. So, we're docking up. And we're gonna refit, we're gonna drop off this loot, and then we're gonna refit Alexander into an Abyssal Runner. So we got 1 million ISK worth of red loot and a chunk towards the Vedmak. Now we need to take everything off basically, except the battery. We will need the battery. We could also talk about the fitting. The fitting is heavy on capacitor. It's a dual rep fit with 3 rapid lights. This fitting was made for Republic Fleet drones. Now, speaking of Republic Fleet drones, I am planning to go to Dronelands after this episode. Like, that's the next step, most likely, is going to Dronelands to get better drones, because this fit is tight on damage. I already know, just from theory crafting it, I already know it's going to be tight on damage with T1 drones. However, I wonder if I could join faction warfare for one, an opportunity to PvP. Right, so battery, medium ancillary current router rig, medium capacitor rig, and a medium nanopump. But my point was, if I can join faction warfare for PvP and also to get Navy drones, is that something that a Triglavian aligned player would be able to do? Because I am not sure what the Cruzak rules would be on that, and I just want your opinion on it. Let's put the actually, it would be more hassle with the reloads. Let's just put 3 upgraded Malkuth. They are, again, the DPS difference is not that massive. It's like within 1 DPS. So we have 181 DPS, 170 after accounting for the reload. It's enough for basically everything except Firestorm. Firestorms might be a bit tight, and it might time out on triple battleship spawns. However, we are still training skills. So let's grab an electrical filament, because this is the filament we have drones for and the ammo for. Mjolnir ammo for EM resistances. Let's undock. So now that we're approaching our safe, system is still quiet. Again, I know this Sparkov person, they are a local. So let's use our calm electrical filament, but we need to swap it back from 2 destroyers to 1 cruiser. Here we go. Here goes nothing. Yeah, as you can see, our capacitor is more than stable. We're in a speed cloud. This is what's a speed cloud. And I could go for the nodes, but my general rule is I don't go for side nodes in room 1. Lucid Escort is just a very easy spawn. You just kill them, watch for drone aggro. That's about it. Oh, we got a Skinner crate. I don't know what to do with them, honestly. Because you can't sell them. It's just junk. For us, it's just junk. Okay, let's pull drones in. Let's reload and let's turn off our repairs to save up capacitors. It's a habit, it's a good habit to get into. Turn off your active modules while you're between gates to get some more capacitor back for heavy newt waves in higher tiers. Okay, a Tesla spawn. This is just drone frigates. If I was flying a Cerberus or a non-drone ship, I would book it for that Deviant Automata suppressor to help me out. But we can go for that extraction node that's behind a speed cloud. Again, drone frigates love to chew on drones, so gotta be careful with drone aggro. Oh, well, no isogen. The spawn is almost done, so we'll head back towards the bioadaptive cache and the gate. It's a bit of a long way to go in a slow Amar cruiser. Nothing special, still no condensets. I know condensets mainly drop from dark, so we'll have to figure out a way to run them. Tier 0 wouldn't be difficult, we would just have to get a Kestrel, but Tier 1 might be a bit more difficult. Then again, if we can afford a cruiser later, like another cruiser BPO, maybe we could get something like a Caracal. Or a Bellicose, something like that, right? This is another Tesla spawn, we're gonna deal with it the same way. So we got an agitated dark filament. Tier 2 is doable in Tech 1 cruisers, but not Cruisac Tech 1 cruisers. We would need T2 fits and a lot more skills, and that's frankly just not doable. It's doable in an autocannon stabber, but it requires T2 guns, it requires T2 modules, T2 tank, which is all very, very difficult for us to achieve. We'll just count it as a loss. But we got out safely again, so let's dock up and maybe we'll think about running one more just to see if it wasn't a fluke. Right, we've docked up. First thing we need to do is repair our drones from that abyssal run. It's gonna cost a while here and there, but so be it. And I want to quickly just show what the difference would be between T1 drones that we have right now and just integrated infiltrators. Because integrated infiltrators on paper are about a 10% DPS increase, right? 200 DPS from 181, about a 10% increase, and Imperial Navy would be another 10% on top of that. However, they also have more health, as you can see. They have like a fair chunk more health compared to T1 drones, and they have more tracking and they have more damage, right? They have a fair chunk more damage and their damage isn't split, unlike integrated drones, which is something that can be good or bad, depends on the situation. It can be either good or bad. So that's kind of why I'm considering joining faction warfare, but I want your opinions, if it's within the rules, if it would be against the rules, since Valerie is a Triglavian aligned capsuleer. Right? Yeah, we put the T2 filament into junk. We'll grab another one. We'll reload our missiles while we're here. Yeah, where is my... We'll grab another filament. And we'll just go out to see if it's not a fluke. We'll need to also reload our missiles. Maybe restock a bit. No, it's fine. 700 should be enough. I also wanted to see what's the mobile tractor depot. What do we need for a mobile tractor depot, actually? Wetware mainframe, superconductors, and organic matter transmitters. So we need P4s, P3s, and P2s. I mean, that's doable. It would be doable. It would be just a little bit annoying, but we could build a few mobile depots, mobile tractor units, sorry. Okay, well, I'll think about it. We'll undock and let's pop another filament. Let's see if we just got lucky or if this fit is actually decent at running abyssals. If a little bootstrap cruiser could run abyssals. Oh yeah, because we just got out of warp, the ship is invulnerable for a second, so we have to wait. But then we can pop a filament. Okay, let's see, what is this spawn? This is Ephialtes Lancer. We dealt with this before in the T0. It's the exact same spawn with just more HP and more damage. So let's approach the cache and start shooting. And the last guy is down. These guys also love to chew on your drones, which is a bit annoying. Shit. I just forgot my drones. I just saw... Yep, I forgot my drones. Well, that's fine. I thought my drones were in the bay. They weren't, because I tried to take a cool cinematic screenshot for the thumbnail, and it backfired. Oh well. We'll just not lose any more drones. We'll be very careful about not losing them. Tesla, so far all the spawns that we've seen before. Okay, let's pop the cache real quick, see what we get in here. Agitated electrical. Again, could be possibly doable, but it requires too many modules we don't have access to, so it's junk. We'll just continue blasting these guys out of orbit, try to go for the subnodes. Yeah, we've got plenty of time to grab these wrecks. We have about, just glancing at the progress of that timer, we have about 13 minutes left, which is more than enough for the last room. You should aim for 6 minutes 40 for every room. And yeah, I shot the previous wreck, there was nothing there, so I moved on to this one. That's why you shoot the wreck. That's why you shoot the wrecks before you get to them. But now we have the slow boat for 30 kilometers. And the last room, it's just triple striking damage. Now you can also see this orange cloud. This, if we were in a shield tanked ship, we would want to avoid it, because it makes your shield boosters cycle twice as fast, but it also makes them heal for half as much. So it basically doubles their capacitor usage. It can get very sketchy if you're not careful, or if it's like a heavy neuting wave. As someone that mainly uses the Cerberus, it does get very, very sketchy. And just like that, we're done. We'll get out the filament, and I would call this an up success. We can in fact run tier 1 abyssals in an arbitrator. We have a thrasher for tier 0, and we have an arbitrator for tier 1, because frankly put, tier 1 in a cruiser is very... It's not like tedious, it's just monotonous and not very profitable, but you could run it much faster in a destroyer. I mean, if we had access to a hook bill, we could probably run tier 1s in a frigate, but yeah, we don't have access to faction ships. So let's dock up and tally up the loot. Alexander has done great work today. So let's see. We have got... We have got 8 crystalline isogen 10 and 22 0-point condensate. We need a lot but I will just run abyssals whenever I have free time. I'll run abyssals off camera and just keep farming, because it's going to be like, if my math is right, it's like 120 to 150 runs. Because yeah, drop rates are not great, but we're also gonna get a lot of ISK out of it that way. Just say those 3 runs were 3.5 million ISK. It's not bad. But I will end this episode here, and I think next time we're gonna go to Dronelands. Soon we'll go to Dronelands, and after that, maybe it's time for a little bit of bubble fishing.